Welcome online at-home sales team and recruiters to a quick overview on our first 400 bonus system. So if you're watching this video, this is typically one of the very first videos that you would have been directed to watch inside of the university, particularly because it's the quickest way for you to earn income even while you're still learning the system. So if you haven't already really gotten involved and you're kind of trying to figure things out, trying to absorb information, you might have already skipped ahead and started to watch a few sales videos or recruiting videos, depending on what your availability was. What this will do for you is give you kind of a quick insight on something that you can be doing very early on in your advancement towards becoming a full-time agent, and also be earning you some money in the process. So what the first 400 bonus lead program is where Catalyst will take the first $400 of profit on any job that is located and turn around and create a bonus for what we would basically just call finding the lead. So we have a lot of different resources online that we would recommend using. However, anything and everything is an option. I play with the internet a lot, just doing random searches for electricians needed, plumbers needed, drywall workers needed. And the more you dig, the more you'll find there are hundreds and thousands of sites out there available where people will post jobs for needs, Facebook groups, job groups. There are so many, it's endless. There's really no option out there that would not become viable if you didn't, if you found it and decided that you wanted to put some effort in. It's all fair game. What you have to have in order to really proceed with this is access to Podio. So in order to receive access for Podio, you need to reach out either in one of these morning meetings, 10 a.m. Central, Monday through Thursday, and say, hey, I'm ready to go. Just mention it in the comments. One of the admins will grab it. We'll make sure that you get an invitation to Podio. Podio is a system, just like you would log in and create an account to any system. You would never want to go and create your own account on your own because you're not going to be invited to our space. So in order to get into our space in Podio, it has to be a direct invitation from an admin of Catalyst. So don't go on your own and wonder why your Podio doesn't look like the Podio that you see in our training, because our Podio is very customized and it is only for our company. So when you see this video, make sure, if you're interested in moving forward with it, that you are asking an admin, asking an onboarding specialist, anybody that helped you through the onboarding process to help you get access to Podio. You can also dial 1-800-320-0589. Again, 1-800-320-0589. It's just our 1-800 number. You can choose extension 5. That will get you an onboarding specialist. If you leave a voicemail, that will go to their email and just let them know who you are. They can typically look you up within the system. If you've gotten this far, you've at least filled out the application for staffingcareerfromhome.com, and they will be able to look up your name and find your email and your phone number to be able to communicate to you that you've either A, been sent this invitation, or B, how to get it to you. So you'll need that access, which will basically get you into what we call Podio, which is basically our CRM system. It's all inclusive. Once you're in our system, Podio becomes the office. This is where you would keep all of your files. This is where you can get files. This is where you get the information. Podio in itself has its own system training in the university. It's typically the first 4 videos that you see. I always tell people to figure out your path. If you're part-time or full-time is the first question you want to ask yourself. You may be part-time now and want to transition into full-time later. That's fine. But the main thing is to determine, what are you trying to get out of Catalyst? If you want to eventually create a career where you can work from anywhere and you want to become full-time, then you would want to kind of choose one of the 2 major paths. You either really kind of become a recruiter full-time or a salesperson full-time. It's one of the 2. Most people will do both, but your primary is usually one or the other. And here's the real difference. For one, if you're only part-time, you would only want to be a recruiter or somebody who just finds bonus leads, like the video we're about to cover. If you are full-time, you definitely can make a lot more money in sales. And if you have the ability and willingness, sales is where it's at. The whole thing is this, though. If you're not great at sales, you're not good at sales, you have no interest in sales, you're not good at customer service, you're not good at follow-up, you feel very uncomfortable contacting people via the phone, then sales is definitely not for you. So what I would tell you is that you need to take a recruiting path. If you go, well, I don't even want to give job interviews and I'm very limited as far as my availability, then I would tell you to focus on, just like this video, just doing the bonus leads. Really, the thing is, when you get into the university, you'll see it basically divided into a few sections. The first few videos, very short, is Podio system training. Everyone needs to have that in order to see or hear or know about the internal functions of Podio itself. But from there, there's a small section, 4 or 5 videos for recruiters. And then there's about 10 to 15 videos for salespeople. And then there's some advanced system training and sales training towards the end that we call 103 training. If you're a recruiter, there is zero need for you to watch the sales or 103 training. If you are in sales, there's really not a lot of need for you to watch the 4 to 5 short videos for recruiting. So if you're coming into the U for the first time, try to determine where you are. If you want to become a recruiter, you can watch the 4 or 5 videos for Podio, but then just focus on the recruiting training and you're pretty much ready to go once you receive your Podio access. If you're in sales, you would do the opposite. You would go straight to sales. You would try to work your way through that entire system, double back and watch the Podio system training if necessary, but you wouldn't spend the time to watch the recruiting videos. At that point, it really wouldn't help you. If anything, starting with this particular video, how to find bonus leads, how to earn the first 400 bonus, that would be recommended to all of the above, but you would start there and then just skip into the U to whatever section that best suits your needs. So from there, here we are. How do we find bonus leads, and really what does that mean? Our system has over 8,000 leads in it already. Once they're entered in, anybody can call on them for follow-up. So I'll give you an example here. If you follow my mouse on the screen, I can click on the Leads app. This is taught more in more depth in other videos, but this is just to show you that there's a bunch of leads in here already. You can click on them. You can look at this, for example, last contacted up here on the right of the screen. This kind of lets you know how old it is or when the last time somebody has contacted it. We have a general rule that there's 90 days for somebody to kind of lay claim to a lead. So if you look at one of these leads and no one's contacted it in 90 days, you're able to call, reach out, make direct contact, make it your own, and then move forward and hopefully try to connect with that client and hopefully fulfill any staffing needs that they have. However, if somebody's been speaking to it recently or within that 90 days, you would just move on to the next option and carry on about your business. The point of it is that we always feed new leads into the system. The company does it for you. Individuals like yourself do it. What that basically means is just entering it in. And you'll see on here on the top right, it says add a lead in this green button, which is exactly where you would go if you found a company online that you thought was going to be a good potential lead. You haven't called it. You don't have to speak to them yet. You're just trying to put them in our system and make them accessible to some of the more advanced closers where you can maybe get something on the board even in your first day or two. So I'm going to get a little bit deeper into how that works. If you don't already have a pen and paper, I'd grab one now. First things first, where do I find good leads? Where do I go? How do I know what I'm looking for? What's the type of lead that we want? So in short, again, Google is your best friend. I've got a couple of examples that I'm going to bring up to give you some very forward or direct access to free leads online that are really endless in supply. But feel free to be creative. We call them honey holes. You might find a place where you're finding the greatest leads ever. That's awesome. And so, you should always and constantly be looking for those opportunities. What you can do with it is basically Look for places that have construction lead sources where they are looking for the major trades that we offer. We focus on drywall, we focus on electrical or electricians, plumber or plumbers, apprentice plumbers. Then you will find other trades that we will do a lot with, like roofing, but we also will get into some outside trades. We don't tend to focus on the secondary trades as much, but it would not be unrealistic to have concrete, flooring, or really almost anything that involves the construction industry, whether that's wood carpenters or carpenters in general. That kind of covers a very large amount of workers in the industry. But the primary focus where you're going to have the most success is going to be in your top tier trades. But think about the building from the ground up. You got the framing of it, you got the walls. That's going to be your drywall teams. I forgot to throw painting in there. That's actually one that would come up, but that's not going to be one of the focuses. It's your drywall hangers, framers, and finishers, your electricians, your plumbers, and your roofers. That's going to be where the majority of your leads and your sourcing is going to come from. And there's an abundance out there. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is plenty of leads out there. If you know what you're looking for, you can have a lot of success. So what you're really wanting to do is find a source that has those leads, look for those main categories, and then be looking for certain language. This is where your pen and paper will come in handy. This will take you a million miles. What you're doing is searching keywords once you're within one of the available options. I'll give you an example. I've got Craigslist pulled up. It's one of my favorite options. It used to be one of my favorite options for recruiting, but it has always become my primary for sales. I call this low-lying fruit, in that this is where you can get very quick access to a decision maker. A lot of sources like Indeed, which I'm going to show you, they hide phone numbers. They don't want to give up the source of their lead. So they make it where you have to email through their server, and then they kind of, make sure it's not spam, and then they deliver it to their customer. Whereas Craigslist, it's not only a paid ad. And why that's important is because if you have a client out there and he's having to pay for his advertising, he's serious. It's not that if it's not paid that it doesn't matter, but when a company has to pay $75 to run an ad, that means they have a need, and they also have some money they're going to put behind it. They're serious about the process, and what more importantly is that's like a small green light for our company, because we have to run these guys through a credit check. We got to make sure they can afford our services. We don't want some guy out there who owns one pickup truck and a handful of tools and has no website and really can't afford a lot of payroll, and he's running a free ad, and we call him. He's not going to end up working out. So this is just one small little step towards the right kind of client. What you would do inside of Craigslist is your home would be in this job section here that you see to the right. What your real focus on is going to be in what they call skilled trades. So that's actually a good keyword to look up when you're looking at other sites in general as well. Skilled trade is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's skilled labor. You'll hear this throughout the training that we provide skilled labor. And what that basically means is a tradesman, somebody who is involved deeply beyond several years in the construction industry, and they are skilled labor in that area, whether it's an electrician or it's a carpenter or it's a plumber, versus general labor, which would be anybody with a heartbeat. Anybody can do general labor. It pays like $10 an hour. They might have you picking up trash. They might having you clean tools. They might have you running back and forth to a store. General labor is not something we supply or something that we focus on. It's on the very bottom of the totem pole when it comes to labor staffing, and it's just not something that Catalyst does. So when I got this opened up here, I'm just in the typical or general area of skilled trade. Where your best friend lies on all of these sites is trying to kind of look over to where you can create filters and playing with those and seeing how you can really limit or narrow down the result. So I would really highly recommend that you play with those. I'm not going to really show you a lot about that today in these sites, but one of the things that like you could recommend, for example, would be if you look over here, this says full time. If you wanted to, you could click it. It would, obviously limit what you're seeing over here, which would be good. because if anything, I don't want a part-time one. That's important. What we staff for is for 40 plus hours a week, typically looking for some kind of overtime, especially when it's drywall. If it's drywall, we typically ask for a minimum of 48 hours a week from our clients. So the ad we're seeking needs to sound like that or hopefully offer that. On the other end of it, when you're dealing with plumbing, electrical, those kind of jobs, sometimes those might only be 40 hours, and that's okay. So at the same time, it still would not be part-time. It would be a full-time selection. So I would be playing with those filters depending on what site that you're using. I might go ahead and type or select full-time on this one just to update the search. You'll see that it will probably adjust the numbers that it's giving us. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The main thing is to focus on keywords. So each trade has their own keywords. I'm going to kind of go over them now, and then I'm going to give you kind of a set that is general in nature. So drywall is the very first trade that I try to show everyone because it's typically one of the larger financially for the company annually. Why? Well, there's a lot of walls in the buildings. So if you think about it, what do you have more of? You have more walls than you have anything. If you have a 2-story building or a 100-story building, you're going to have more walls per square foot than anything in the building. So that's going to be a huge trade for us. And there's a few different options when it comes to what we could be providing to a client when it comes to the quote unquote term drywall. So you have drywall hangers, you have drywall framers, you have drywall finishers. And so those are the pretty much the top 3 type of lead sourcing that you're going to look for as far as what somebody might be needing for a job site. I'm going to break those down for you. What a drywall hanger does is basically hangs the drywall on the wall itself. And it's a very common order. Usually it takes around 2 guys, they call a team, to hold the board up, one to drill it in, or one to cut it, carry it in, one to hang it up. So that's kind of what they're doing. The boards typically come in 8 foot, 10 foot, or 12 foot. You don't need to really know that. That's just some general knowledge for you. So you'll kind of have a better idea of the differences. Usually, if you think of like a residential home, those are usually 8-foot walls. So they use 8-foot boards. If you have a bigger custom home and or commercial spaces, like inside of a Walmart where the ceiling might be very high, they would typically use larger boards for that. You might see a 10 or a 12-foot board. So long story short, I'm looking for drywall hangers, and then I might be looking for drywall framers. Now, framing comes in really 2 different types. You have metal stud framing, and then you also have what they call wood framing. Think about wood framing as residential. Think of metal stud framing as commercial. So if they're looking for wood framers, they're more than likely building some type of a housing complex, whether that's an apartment, multifamily housing, or it could just be a bunch of single level homes, but it's usually typically residential. When you hear them asking for metal stud framers, they're typically looking for something for a commercial application, regardless of how big or tall the building is. Every different city or state has different types of codes, but you will, in some very rare applications, find in like large city settings like Atlanta or Nashville where they might do metal stud framing for the first like 1 or 2 stories, and then the top 3 or 4 floors might be in wood. That's possible, where they might have residential living apartments above a commercial setting storefront downstairs. The other thing that you would consider or look at when it comes to the framing is the location. So for example, if you get asked for a framer in Wisconsin, they're for sure going to be wood. They don't use metal stud up there. And so a lot of times you'll find in the upper Northeast or upper Northwest a lot of wood framers versus in the South where they're going to use a lot of metal stud framing. So either way, that's going to be the second primary source of leads for drywall. Beyond hangers, you have your framers, and then you might even adjust the language like metal stud framers, wood framers, and separating those into your searches. The last thing that you would look for drywall would be what they call a finisher. And a finisher is basically the guy who comes in, they put what they call mud on the wall, where the seams of two joints of two boards come together. They slap some tape down them and mud on them, and they are sanding it down, making the wall very finished and smooth, so the painting crew can come in and paint, or what they'll call shoot the wall. So for a finisher, they also come with different names. Sometimes they call them tapers. So that's just another word that I might use, and I'll give you an example. So if I come in here and I'm looking for a finisher, I might just type in finisher, see what happens, hit enter, and it gives me, a couple of options here. Now, I might use the word drywall in front of it to see if it gives me different results. See, so if this would have been the very first thing I put in, I would have only seen this. If I had taken the word drywall off, I've seen a whole nother 5. So you can see we're playing with words within a system really can make a huge difference. I'm going to go ahead and look at this one particular lead with you and kind of show you what I would be looking for. Number one, right off the bat, first thing I'm looking for every single time is a phone number. Why? Because if it doesn't have a phone number, it's not going to do me a lot of good. Well, what if I could email them? Well, the thing is, email in today's age, today's market, today's world of technology is the farthest away source to reach the decision maker. Most people have multiple email addresses and thousands of spam messages coming through. So it's very hard, unless they know it's coming, to go out there and find that language or whatever it is you're sending him, whether it's a PDF or whatever. Should you do it? Yeah, you still might do it. However, should you rely on it? That's like the worst way to reach a decision maker. So I don't waste a lot of time if the only option is email, especially, let me see what this will do. If you click the reply button, you see how this says reply with, and it's got this generic email address that's, at job postings, Craigslist.com, blah, blah, blah. That's going to go through their server. What they are going to do with that is block it, because typically if it has an attachment, if it even looks spammy, if it looks like you're a commercial company, they can use all kind of filters. What will happen is you just wasted your time, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, creating this email that to send to this guy who's never even going to get it. They're gonna, as the company here, Craigslist is, they're gonna take that, they're gonna mark it as spam, or they're not gonna send it, and you just wasted your time. So again, if they don't have a phone number, I'm moving right on. Now I will give you a hint about Craigslist. Sometimes you will not see it here in the body. You have to click this little drop down reply button, and like it says here, contact James. It'll have a phone number sometimes right here. Or is it like right here? It says show phone number. If I click on that, it would or could, in this case it does, showcase a number. So if you don't see it in the body, you can always double check right here for the phone number, and it's really, really important. So now that I know it has a phone number, now notice I haven't read the ad yet. Still haven't read the ad. Now this has taken 4 minutes to really simplify it for you. However, I would normally do this extremely fast. I'm talking processing maybe, no telling. The faster you get, the more money you make. So I don't take a lot of time when I'm just generally looking for leads, other than as long as it's got the high points, and I know it's what we're looking for, or more importantly, I avoid what we're not looking for, then it's a good potential lead. So watch how I copy and paste this number. What I want to do is copy and paste this into Gmail. Why would I do that? The number one reason why you would do that is to try to weed out the potential or the possibility that this is a staffing agent. The number one thing, the number one stumbling block that you have to overcome as a new construction staffing agent in your career is to avoid another staffing agent. They're good. Sometimes they're real good. And what I mean by that is they'll post an ad and it looks so real that everybody in America would apply, including you. You don't want to end up calling this guy and putting it in our system, and then we call just to find out they're another staffing agency. And again, a really good agent will describe their ad in a manner or a way that they want everybody to apply. You got to imagine they're fishing. So what they want is a bunch of applications from potential workers so they can store them up in their database. All agencies do that. We do that. But at the same time, we don't want to fall prey to their games. So what you would do is Google the number, and then look for a few key signs. Now, I'm scrolling down here, and what I'm looking for is like a website. If I don't see a website, what I'll do is I'll start to look for ads. So notice this one says upholstery fabric. Okay, that's okay. This one says wanted experienced scaffold erectors. So I can already tell he's looking for other things, and it's not necessarily drywall, right? They're not looking for drywall finishers like I was looking for. So if they're really far off the mark, that can tell me that they're using that phone number to staff other types of projects. It could determine just right there that this is a staffing agency, but I'll go a little bit further with it and give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what this one looks like. I'll open it up, and what you'll find is sometimes looking at some of their other jobs, it'll really expose who they are, because sometimes they'll just say their company name. So I'll look through this one real quick, see if I can see anything. I'm looking through all of these. I'm trying to find out or see if for somewhere where they may have located or potentially put somebody else. Now look at this right here. They've got another phone number here. While I'm in here, I might go ahead and search that just to see, since the first one didn't really say anything, that maybe the second phone number that they put in will. Very often, there's two agents or multiple agents working on a project together, or, it's the owner of the business and one of his reps. So I'm just going to look at both because I want to be, thorough. This one here, metal framers and drywall hangers. That's good. We're in the vicinity of the type of, the skill set that I'm looking for. That's good. Let me see if metal framers, drywall hangers, must pass drug screen gears. What is this? Work at Hurlburt Field in Mary Esther. So here's a couple of things. For one, this gives me a little information. I could search it further and go and see exactly what that is. I can almost tell by this particular ad because of it's looking for drug screens, background checks. It's got a weird dollar amount, like $17.25. That screams to me prevailing wage, which means a government project. None of that's bad, but that's just a good something to know, particularly if you're entering in a lead. But again, I'm a little curious of what this is, so I'm just going to look a little farther. So this is an Air Force base, just like I just thought, and that totally makes sense. This has still not really told me one way or the other that this could potentially be or is an agency. So what would I do with it? I'll come back to it. I'm going to look a little deeper at the ad. Drywall finishers needed ASAP. Must background, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing in here that's screaming that it's an agency. Is there a potential for it to be? Yes. Is it going to kill anybody if I enter it in? No. Is it worth a shot? Looks like it is. So what I could do then, it didn't give me a company name. A lot of times if you do that search on that number, it'll tell you this is B&W Drywall. Okay, great. If I got a website, that's even better. I can really verify and feel comfortable that this is not a staffing agency. In this case, all around, this looks like a pretty good lead, So what I would do if I don't know the name of the company, which 90% of the time you do, because by the time you search it, it gives you that information. I would take that company's name, their phone number, and any other qualifying information I could find. Typically, I would copy and paste almost the whole ad, hit copy, and then I would go into Podio and be as very specific as I can because I want to make sure this lead sticks. So I go in here to the top left of Podio under the lead, and I click on it. You'll see on the top right-hand corner, there's a green box that says Add Leads. What's important to know here is that you want to be thorough. So if you don't have a company name, you could do something like drywall, Alabama. I recognize the area code, but that's exactly where this company is located. So if anything, it's generic. The person calls, we'll figure that out. They can update it. You might even put on there, update on call. Business phone. Well, I would copy and paste the guy's phone number right into that. Company contact, it said James, or what was the other guy's name? James or Tim. I could enter them both. Email. If it give me an email address, I would put it there. Last contacted, well, I didn't contact him. This is a bonus lead, so I skipped that. Sales rep, who is that? I would hit the drop down. I select myself. Now I'm the rep. Once I see my photo there, then I know I've secured this as my lead. Lead status. You can literally come in here and just put lead. That's all it is so far. Campaign, nothing to do with you. You can't really touch it, can't do much. Trade, well, it appears that it's going to be drywall. And you can even look through here if you knew for certain this was a drywall finisher, for example. You can see that that is one of the options. If you don't see the exact option you're looking for, try to get as close as possible. Bill rate. Well, if you were calling and giving it a quote, which is what this closer is going to do for you, you would have stuck that in here, but you have no idea yet because you're just creating a bonus lead. You haven't called him yet. CSA notes and quotes. CSA stands for Customer Service Agreement. That is our contracts. You will learn later how to request from corporate to send it for you, and really kind of where to go from there, or how to how to proceed. But that has nothing to do with you at this moment. The next thing you would look for is lead interest. Temporary, temp to hire, direct buyout. This again is something that a closer, or when you call and close on a job, you could either sell him a temporary contract, one where they're working temporary but they're going to hire them full time, or direct hire, which basically means they're giving us money on day one and we are passing that worker we have located for them on day one. So you have a couple of different options. We actually have another option that is not located here. It's called a lease option. We tend to do that on military bases and or sometimes just for roofing contracts. Either way, closers would be the one doing that for you. Notes and quotes. Now this is where you would open it up and you would paste that entire ad that I seen. Typically what you want to do is make sure that the language that you had in the ad is there. So you'll see that it's all located here. I didn't mean to grab that map. What I would probably do if I were you is go back in and don't grab the highlighted version of that, so you don't have too much information in there. You might even just grab this portion of the body just to make it clean. You could go in, delete what you just did, right click, paste the actual ad. Why is that important? Well, you want the closer to see what you've seen. The more experienced closer will probably Google this number first anyway, just to verify this isn't an agency. If I've seen other ads out there while I search, like we did in this case, I might grab that language too, just to show them. Now they're looking for a lot of different sources. I don't know which one that you could close on. Maybe you could close on all of them. I don't know. Either way, I'm just trying to produce a qualified lead for someone with a little more experience to go in there and find, and this gives them enough information to do that. So long story short, the notes and quotes is definitely where you want to focus. You could type your opinion in here, like, hey, I've done some research, I couldn't find them anywhere, it may still be an agency, I hope not, good luck. I mean, whatever, you can say whatever you wanted, but basically this is where the notes would go. Company website. If they had a company website, give you an example, what I could do is go in, click on their website, find it, locate it, or whatever, and then go up to the address bar, copy and paste that URL directly into Podio. And what that'll do is allow, if your agent wanted to, they could, oops, I did it twice. If you make the mistake I just did, if you look over here on the right, you can just hit the X, it goes away. So now they could click on this company's website. That also ensures that this is more likely to be a good lead. You have to understand that companies without websites are traditionally not going to get funding from our bank. So they have to be somewhat established. A website is one of the first key indications that they are too small to do business with us. Street address, if I had it, I would put it. If I could go to this website and it would show me their physical address, I would put it. Why is that important? Eventually, if this closer of yours makes this phone call and they decide to submit a credit check, they're going to pull that data directly from here If they have to go and do the work for you, it's just going to slow down the process. This is a very automated system we have on the back end with the finance team. So it pulls this data and it shows available on their screen. Please don't make them go and find all of this general information when you had the ability to do it right there at the time you found it. Estimated weekly invoice. A closer would determine this. If he knows the guy's ordering 4 guys for $40 an hour for 50 hours a week, he can kind of estimate that out. That also goes to finance and lets them know about how much money we need to borrow in order to pay for this payroll. Management only, weekly invoice. This again would be on the closer. Management use only, again, these are just some buttons that you get to learn on a later training session on what they may or may not push to either, submit a credit check or what the result was from it, that type of thing. The other thing that you can do is click or hit send a CSA as a closer. For you, the at-home agent that's just getting started, trying to just submit a bonus lead, you would never touch that. You wouldn't push any of these buttons. Create a vacancy. When we push this button, it creates what we call a sale in the sales app. That's where recruiters go to find out information on what is needed as far as staffing needs across any jobs within the system. So again, in this process, you won't need that. The link, there's really nothing that you would need to put here, so you would skip that. Calculation doesn't have anything to do with you. Files has nothing to do with you, but at the bottom here, tags does. So what you want to do is open tags and type what you need to type here. And if this is a bonus lead, the first thing you would do is select bonus lead. The second thing that you would do is very important. Now notice here too as well, I'm still in here. I could continue to add these if I wanted, but if you click off in a margin and it turns blue, it's been saved. I always want to double check that just to make sure that's a blue. That way I know my bonus lead that's going to be shown under my name is going to give me the credit when and if this thing gets closed. Could it get closed tomorrow? Yes. Could it get closed in 3 months? Yes. Do I still get credit? Yes. That's why you always want to make sure that you're selected as the rep. You always want to make sure that you have properly tagged the words bonus lead. That will ensure that whoever is out there and closing these projects for you finds your lead and also gives you credit. It's very, very important. Now, here's part of the system. We typically will do what we call a text blast or an automated call. There's a lot of different ways and automations that we use as a company to reach a lot of clients at one time. I'll kind of paint this picture for you on one of the things that we're doing. What we can do is basically take these tag words and filter them out at the end of a week to give me all of the leads from that period of time that have been entered in. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you and 1,500 or 15 reps are all entering in bonus leads during this week. And so I'm going to use this example right now. It is August the 1st, 2019, right? So we're in the very first week of the month. Every week, we'll create a tag. And in the morning meetings, 10 a.m. Central, Monday through Thursday, we will be telling you and reminding you, especially new people, what the week tag is. So really, you will never be behind or not really aware of what kind of tag you should be using based on whatever lead you're working on whatever week that you're working on it with. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, so what I would do if I were you is be in the morning meetings just so you know exactly what's going on at whatever given time of the year it is. That way you never miss anything. In this particular case, just to simplify it, think of it as what week are we in? Your typical month has 4 weeks. So what you would do is go, okay, this is the first week of the month. And we bill Monday through Sunday. So as long as you're pretty much in line with that, if it's the first of the month or the fourth of the month, you'll get used to knowing that that's the first week of whatever month that you're in. So to create the second tag, the first number you choose is the month, which is an 8. You would then select a dash and then you would choose whatever week of the month it is. Is it the second week, the third week, the fourth week, or in this case, it's the first week, and then you would end it with whatever year it is. I mean, you can you'll understand as the years go by how this will be very important. So because it's not already down there, I just opened up this box and I'm going to type it. I want to go 8-1-19. Select into the blank space, and I've officially got this date of 8-1-19. What you'll find is that every week that people are doing that, it will become available to you down here. So a lot of times, if you don't see it or you don't know what it is, you don't want to look. If you kind of look at you know basically what it is. It's probably going to be down here where you can just select it. But if I knew I was putting in bonus leads next week, I would just change that to 8-19. And so on and so forth, for regardless of whatever month it is, regardless if it's the first week, second, third, or fourth week, that second number is just the week it is, and then whatever the year end is. What we'll do from corporate is at the end of the week, I'm going to search these tag words. And what will happen is every single lead that has been entered into the system, that's a bonus lead, and B, entered in during this time, that has not already been contacted by a closer, would either receive an automated text, an automated email, a voice call where they can press 1 to be connected to a closer. One of those options would hit typically on a Friday morning. We usually will pull this data on a Thursday evening. What this will do for you, the at-home agent, is ensure that if throughout the week your lead was not contacted fast enough, quick enough, or was able to get them back on the phone or on the phone the first time, they will at least have this secondary form of communication sitting in an inbox, sitting on their text message, whatever source or resource that we're taking advantage of as far as technology goes. It'll give you a way to reach out to them. So at the end of the day, I've pretty much filled this thing out in detail. I'm checking from top to bottom. Did I miss any details that I could have put in? Make sure my tags are there. And on the lower right-hand side, the most important thing you have to do is hit Save Lead. Now, if you don't fill it out all the way, it's probably not going to let you save, but you'll see down the left-hand side of the corner, it says the item has been created. So now I know that lead is in there. So if I go back out to the main screen in Podio, I'm basically going to be able to see that I've entered that lead in correctly, and any closer who's working on it that week will also see the same thing. That's really important just to know that I did it right, and then once you get it down, it's pretty much very straightforward, simple process. And you'll see that they'll come in and they'll be listed in here. You'll learn in other training sessions on how to use this filter right here to look for leads that only you created. Like, for example, if I wanted to see one that I created, I can go to sales rep. I choose my name. If I click off into the space, I'll see all of the leads that I've entered. If I wanted to be a little more specific, I could go to tags and I could type in bonus lead, and it really filters them down to whatever's out there. And again, you could be able to see all of the companies. This last one, Drywall Alabama update on call, that would be the one that I just entered in for you guys. When I opened it up, I might have found the information, called it myself, and realized I'd have to change the name here, and I could do all of these things here. If I found out for some or whatever reason I didn't want this lead in here, I could go to the action button and I could delete it, which is what I'll do since this wasn't a real lead. Now, that's pretty much the gist of it as far as the process. Now, I'll speed through the end of this just to show you some other options and a few other sites. So I go back to Craigslist. Again, I am in the general skilled trade section located right here in the jobs. Just to kind of blow through some of the search terms and words and how processing would look. I would go drywall hangers, enter. I got all these leads. I might take the S off, just do drywall hanger, see what happens. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't. Change that word to framer, see what happens. Sometimes I can add an S. Finisher. Finishers. One letter to make it plural sometimes makes all the difference. It depends on what city you're in. It depends on what trade you're looking for. Notice how I just run through most of them or all of them. I usually have a list sitting beside me, so I never miss the key words that I wanted to put, whether it was just the word drywall alone or whatever they're suggesting. I'm trying all combinations to make sure I don't miss anything. I might even try crew. I might try crews. Either way, I'm looking for leads and I'm using all the word sourcing. So for drywall, I'm drywall hangers, drywall finishers, drywall framers. Since I'm in that trade, I'll go metal stud framer, enter. Framers. I might go wood framer or framers. I might say that there's just a lot of different options that you could go with as far as some of the words that you would choose, and you'll get used to it and you'll get the hang of it. One of the things that I also do is while I'm looking inside of one of these ads, it'll teach you a lot of the language. So as you are learning what to search for, you can kind of see what they're posting and then utilize that language in your searches. You learn as you go. That pretty much would cover you in all things drywall, though, and hangers, framers, and finishers, wood framing, a metal stud framing, and then you would be able to move on to a different trade. Now, inside of Craigslist, well, I'm already in this skilled trade section, just trying to back out to this homepage to show you. I could switch right from drywall to something else. So while I'm in here, I could delete that and I can move on. While I'm here, I might as well start looking for plumbers. And you'll see it gives me a whole slew of them, right? I can change this, make it singular. It's just plumber. Now you could also use this word. Journeyman. Journeyman is a big time word when it comes to plumbing and electrical. So if I'm looking for plumbers or electricians, that's going to be one of the search words that I'm always going to use. Now, journeyman means it's somebody who's been in the trade for 5 or more years. Very important. Now, what would happen if the guy's only got 4 years? Those are typically called apprentices. And I would do the same thing. Apprentice electrician, enter. Apprentice electricians with an S, switch it up. You could do the same thing for plumbers. I would do apprentice plumber, apprentice plumbers. You're not really going to get crews of electricians or crews of plumbers. Those guys typically travel alone. But you would find like painting crews. You would find drywall crews. You definitely find roofing crews. But plumbing and electrical tend to find single guys. And I'm going to kind of break down too what some of these ads look like. So if I go into, let's say, electrical, and I just want to try electricians, I typically run through most of them, especially if I take note to what the dates are. I want to look at the most recent, and that works 2 ways. The most recent one in the morning is the best time to grab it. Why? Because that's when people are starting to call that day, and it's also fresh. Usually when somebody wants something, they're going to go, so that's going to be the first thing in the morning when somebody's job hunting. Same thing, though, for something that's really old. Well, this lead's 3 months old. Should I even enter it in? Yes. Why? Because if they still have a need, they really need it. Number one. Number two, we are looking for a very specific clientele, a clientele that accepts traveling construction workers, meaning when they bid their job, they typically bid it one of 2 ways, where they can only afford local people, or they are offering a hotel, which is something that people need when they travel, or a per diem, which is it's a daily money that they get for gas or food or for their travel expenses. And those people who bid those kind of jobs are perfect clientele for us. So I don't care if the lead is a year old. If that guy's name is John and you've got his cell phone number, that project might be over, but I guarantee you when you call him, he will be open to his future projects, if not have another one available. So don't always, shut this guy off just because it's too old, or if the language looks like it's not perfect. sometimes you can just tell that this company would be a potential company that we could do something with, whether that's a trial now program, which you haven't learned about yet, but that's a program where we take an individual resume, we sell it to a client for a 30, 60, or 90-day period, and then after that period, we release him as a full-time worker for that client. That's a temp to hire position, and it's something that we do. It's not something I want you to find bonus leads for, though, and that's what I'm going to cover right now. We do not need bonus leads for people who want to hire one guy. It's a lot of work for one person. What we want bonus leads for are for clients that need a lot of guys. And what I mean by a lot doesn't have to be 10 or 20 or 30 or 40. Those will happen. It's okay if they only want even 4 people, but it's definitely something that we would want more than one of. So you can sometimes tell that when you're looking at the ads. So it takes a little experience to do this, but I'm going to give you some key points right now. So number one, what I tell you, looking for phone. So right away, I'm looking for a phone number. It does have one. I would, of course, went and done that search and did the same process to figure out if this was an agency or not. But the big flag here, which is why I want to really look at this one, we offer benefits. When they offer jobs for traveling positions, I need a drywall crew down here. I need 20 framers real quick. I need them for 4 weeks. They don't offer full benefits. So if they are in fact offering benefits, it's a flag to you that this probably is not going to be a good fit. Now, here's the thing. This is a company, though, and this guy here, whoever this is, may have more than a full-time need. He could very likely be able to take on travelers, maybe not on this project, but maybe on another one. So I want to look a little further into the company to see if I can find out whether or not that may be the case. Here's one way you can tell. If I look this up and it shows me a company and they've got company vans with their names and logos on the side of it, and there's 615 local Nashville, Tennessee area codes and blah, 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 they probably don't do much or many projects for new construction, which is usually where we come in. They are looking more of a service need. So think of it as most electrical and plumbing companies and some drywall, they're service companies. And then there are new construction companies. Very few do both, but that's what I'm getting at. If you can tell by looking at their website that they do both, that still might be a good contact. But most of the time, if they look service, they are service. And if they don't do new construction, you would be wasting your time entering this as a bonus lead. So let me read through this one because it's offering some things. Electrician journeyman needed on a project near Midtown, overtime on Saturdays. Okay, so that's good. They're offering a few extra hours. At least a 4-year experience. So they're looking for, somebody's got some experience in the trade. Basic hand tools, blah, blah, blah. PPE, guys, is personal protection equipment. Everyone should have their own. It's like a hard hat, steel toe boots, safety glasses, and basically it's a very common thing, or they call it PPE, or just their standard safety gear. The client typically does not provide that. The assignment requires a background check and drug screening. That not all of them require that. That's just that, but that shows that this is it's a more serious company, which is a good thing. I'm going to look here under this phone number just to see what would happen. I'm going to copy that. We'll take this into a search. Hit enter, see what happens. Commercial helpers, electricians, still looking, and I don't really see anything that jumps out. Sometimes I'll look through the first few pages just in case. Still not seeing any big flags here, but I am going to see this up here. So make sure this phone number matches up. I don't see that it does. I don't know why this one would be number 1. Let's see if this one does. This one is definitely that company. Let's see if it gives us any more information. Local general contractor is looking for 5 laborers, helpers on a commercial project in Brentwood. You must be able to lift 50 pounds, blah, blah, blah. Contact us. Okay, so this is a good lead. Now, why, LB, would you choose this one then? Why would you, it looks like it could potentially just be for some local guys. It doesn't really say anything about a hotel. It doesn't really say anything about, traveling stuff. So why would you let this one through? Well, for one, I did verify that it's a local general contractor. That's a good thing. It means he's a legit company and he's not a staffing agency, for number 1. Number 2, I can see that he's looking for a couple of different trades here. And as a GC, he would. And the general contractor, they call them GCs on the project. He would need a lot of workers. He would need electricians. He would need plumbers. He would need drywall guys, concrete finishers. He would need all of the above. We do all those things. So it sounds like this is a guy that if a good closer knows how to do their job, they could easily transition this guy into the suggestion that why don't you offer some hotels, sir? If you could, put some of our guys up in a room and I can get you as many guys as you want. See, that's important for Nashville. And that's where, of course, we're headquartered, we're from. It's just a booming market right now. It is. There's more cranes downtown Nashville than there is in New York City today. So it's booming. He can't find these workers. They're not down the street because if they are working. As a general contractor, he's at least got the willing or the ability, I should say, to put these workers into a hotel and bring our guys in from out of state. Whether that's in Houston or Atlanta or wherever we would find these guys, we would be able to do it as long as he would be willing to play ball a little bit. This would be a really good lead. Now, again, I still don't have his phone number, which is probably because this is a cell phone number, but I would do the same thing. I would go back into Podio. I would click on the Leads app. I would go in to this green button that says Add a Lead, and I would add them to all of the fields, his phone number. Hopefully I found that website. Hopefully I've got his email address. Hopefully I've got his street address. Hopefully I've got everything that I need. I would select myself as the rep. I would come down to the bottom here and I would make sure that I added the tag, bonus lead. And then of course, the date that we talked about, 8, first week of the month, 19, click off in the space. They both saved. I could save that lead, and I've already got 2 leads in today under my belt. Now, this is taking a long time to explain to you guys because of how clear I'm trying to make what you're looking for. But at this point, I could have probably already put in around 12, 10 to 15. 10 to 15 is a good range of pace. I've sat with people and watched them do this and kind of really helped them through that process. And so usually if you're doing a good job, if you're doing a lot more than that, you're probably not screening them correctly. If you are doing way less than that, you're probably spending way too much time reading this stuff. So you want to get really quick. And I'm going to kind of show you. I like to do it super fast. I would suggest that you did too. Some of you will do this at 2 o'clock in the morning when everything is calmed down in your environment. Some of you will do it first thing in the morning before you go to work, just to try to get some, boots on the ground and some bonus money coming in while you're transitioning from that job you hate to this. Some of you that have more time, don't do this during the day. You'll hear this in some of the bonus lead. Not the bonus lead, the 103 training in the university. If from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., if you're willing and able and capable of making a phone call, you need to. So that's when you would sell. You would be selling. Now, if you're just getting started and you're just not going to be selling, then I don't mind you finding bonus leads throughout the day. However, a real serious candidate for a full-time career in construction staffing, you would never do this during the regular time of the day. You should not be finding leads as you go. You should be finding leads during off-peak times. Think of it from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's when you would want to find all your leads. So the next day, you would have plenty of leads to call on. If you found 20 to 30 of these a day, over a course of a week, you would have around 150 quote-unquote pre-qualified leads. You're never going to really get through that list in a single day. So as long as you're spending some of the hours in the evening finding qualified leads, you will always have fresh ones for the next day, and you'll always have that time to call back all of the ones that you have found over the past days or weeks, and you'll always be able to try to hit that mark of higher call volume, which means more opportunity. More opportunities means more sales. And it's the same thing if you're only doing bonus leads. The more you can enter in, the more opportunities you're giving to the people who are making 150 phone calls a day. They need fresh leads. Like this one was posted 2 hours ago. That's critical. I mean, I literally, while I'm talking here, just took a picture of it. I'm going to send this to a closer. I think we're going to get this job. I mean, and that's how I think about it. So I'm moving as quickly as I can, because if they have a need, that means they're awake on a job site without these workers. If you can get this lead into a closer's hands, the likelihood of a yes is way high, significant. So you want to make sure you're doing this as quickly as you can, as often as you can, to put fresh leads into the system. Next lead. So I'm clicking on the next one. I'm looking down through here. I saw it right away. What's wrong with it? Look at it. There's no phone number. I'll wait, hold on, they're asking for 100 men. I don't care. You're wasting your time. You've already wasted 2 seconds talking about it. The only thing I would do though is hit the reply button. Did we get a number? No. I'm not even going to tease myself with the information. Unless it said B&W Electric is hiring for 100 men, and I could take that Google, that name, and get a phone number, I don't mess with it, which I already know this one didn't, so I don't even care what it says. I call that a teaser ad. As far as I'm concerned, an agency wrote that. They're just looking for guys with experience as an electrician or a license to apply so they can trap them in their database. I don't want to fall to that trap. I don't care. I'm moving on. So I go right to the next lead. I look, oh, I got it. There it is. Now, for one, I know 813 is not an area code in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, you might not know that in the area that you're searching, and that is okay. That will come with experience. But right there told me that this is like 75% chance it's an agency. Why? Because he's not from here. He's not from that area. Why would you be posting ads in an area you're not from? If you're a staffing agency, you would. We do. So I look up here in the body and look what I seen. Katerra Labor Management. Guaranteed staffing agency. Now, if I were you, would Google this. Learn it yourself. Some of you might look at that and go, Katerra Labor Management, that looks like a pretty good company. It's not. It's a staffing agency. You will learn. Now, heads up. Words like, word name Catalyst Solutions, we stand out like a sore thumb if they were trained right. Why? Because solutions is a key word in construction, labor, staffing. It just is. If you see any company with the name Solutions or Services, they are almost guaranteed to be an agent. Don't waste your time. Move on. If you want to just take my word for it, search the name. You'll see what I'm talking about. If they say we like to serve our clients, we provide these types of services, professional, on time, under budget. That's all the same kind of language that an agency would use. They very often are very good at disguising themselves to look like an actual contractor. You've got to fight through that. You got to be able to look through it and recognize you just don't want to waste your time or anybody else's time on contacting a company that is equivalent to what we do. Either way, I saw that right away. I'm moving on. Next ad. Now, again, the faster you do this, the more money you make, right? I seen the number right away. That's a good thing. Established electrical contractor in Nashville seeking experienced residential/commercial service electricians. What did that tell you? The only thing they're going to do with you is service. That means full-time. That means probably one guy. Look at this, full-time, hours available, and paid holidays. Does that sound like somebody who needs guys for 4 weeks? No. That sound like a guy that's doing a 3-month-long project? No. So right away I saw what was happening. It had a phone number, but right away I could tell that it's looking for something full-time. Would this be a lead that would be good for calling on a trial now? Or you might be able to find this local person for him and give him 30, 60, 90-day options to sell on your own as the rep. You, not a bonus lead closer? Yes. Are these a dime a dozen? Yes. When you look at 100 leads on any source, are 99 of them this? Yes. So am I telling you to waste your time on it? Probably not. But at the same time, if I was really good at what I do, and I was really comfortable with sales, and I had an extra 1 or 2 hours a day to call on something like this, could I do this instead of getting a part-time job? If I wanted to add 10 to 20,000 to my annual income, yeah, you could do it. If you're brand new and you're a really good recruiter, you're really, really good, or you really, really know the area, and you're just a recruiter, but you don't want to really get into the sales thing where we're selling 20 guys for 3 months and the hotels and, the per diems and the back and forth, and you would rather focus on showcasing qualified resumes for 1 or 2 positions that a local client wants, then yes, you could do this. And it would be on you though. Do not enter this as a bonus lead in our system, please. All you're doing is bogging it down. We only want temporary in nature staffing opportunities for the bonus lead program. If it's for your own lead, again, that's a totally different ball game. If you came to me one day and said, I got a guy who wants to sign a trial now for 90 days for 3 local electricians, we will accommodate him. But I just don't want it as a bonus lead. So next lead. Going down through them, He's from out of town. I know that much. Oh, look at there it is. Trillium Construction. Trillium is one of the larger staffing agencies in the country. You need to learn who they are so you'll recognize their names, because I just wasted 0 seconds. You might have wasted 5 minutes figuring that out. This is, in hopes to help you try to find what's it missing. No phone number. Hit the reply. Does it have one? Nope. Moving on. There's too many, way too many out here to play with no phone numbers, no way of contacting. There's just no sense of even thinking about them. And the faster you can get that down, the less time you waste. I mean, I can already see 401k benefits, equal opportunity, locals. That's what this is screaming. And there's no phone number. Moving on. And so that's hopefully helpful to you guys when you're looking down through these, just to scan them quickly for a phone number, scan them real quick to see if they're offering some of those localized benefits like 401ks and things like that. And, again, if anything, this is time consuming. But if you would look through 100 ads and it took you a couple hours and you found just one bonus lead, not only pays you as a bonus lead seeker $400 a week for the first 4 weeks, so like $1,600 is what you just brought your family. If you're a person who doesn't make $1,000 a week or $500 a week, and you could find one lead, it's $400 that week. If you found 2 like that worked out, that's $800. You found 3 or 4. Think about that. I was trying to read a comment there. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can see it in the chat box. Ryan says, when I was trying this back in the spring, I ran into this. Is it possible to spend a lot of time doing this, only to find that someone else has done the same page and entered the same leads you did, or maybe they were already there from another time? How can that be avoided? It really can't be avoided, but I will say this. So what he's asking is like, man, I spent a lot of time doing this, and if sometimes I found a lead, I might find out that it's already in the system. So let's do this real quick, okay? So let me see how I can do this. If you were to go into Podio with your phone number, okay? So I found the lead. I've got the phone number. I've copied it. I've pasted it. I've got it to where it's ready to be pasted in. I want to see if this company's already in our system. Is it possible? Yes, absolutely is. If I've been looking in Nashville and I'm looking at some very basic cities and I'm doing some very basic searches, and I go down through here, is it possible that another rep at another time or even yesterday found the same lead source? Sure. There's no way to really avoid it. Here's how you can kind of minimize it though. 1, be faster than them. Number 1. Number 2, be more thorough than them. Number 3, don't use just Craigslist. I only teach Craigslist and Indeed, and I show Yellow Pages. There are hundreds, thousands of sites that offer jobs. You want to never run into this and avoid it completely? Find those other sites. They're all over the place. Just do research. But what you would need to do is when you come into Podio in general, like we are, here right now, the top right-hand corner, there is a search bar. You open that search up and you would type that phone number. Now, whatever phone number of that client you have, it should give us a drop-down menu of other, options or, let me see what it'll do here. So I just started to type in the word electric. Look at all the companies. So if I had, if I just found a company called Brett's Electric in Houston, Texas, and I started to type the name and I saw that, I could click on it to verify if it's the same company. Might not be the same company. A lot of common names in this industry. So I could look at it and I could go, okay, wow, this is the same company. That sucks because this is a really good lead. Now I could look over here. Now what does this say? 6 months. Does that fall within 90-day rule? Sure doesn't. That means this rep has not contacted this company in the last 90 days. Can I still lay claim to this? Absolutely you can. So you don't want to remove a sales rep. Please never do that. I will do that manually. Never, ever, ever remove somebody else. For whatever reason, just don't do it. But if you wanted to lay claim to it, you could add yourself and you could update the notes. Take the ad that you just found and take it down into the notes section. I can't see my whole screen here, sorry. Take it into the notes section and you would update those notes. You want to make sure that any information that you have, open this up, and you would copy and paste whatever your ad says. You might even post in here, this ad was posted yesterday, put the date, blah, blah, blah. And then you can also add a comment down here on the lower right-hand corner and type whatever you say. So what will end up happening is you go tag it as a bonus lead, or you call it yourself or whatever. Then what management would ultimately do is when this started to come through, we would look and see this comments and activity for this lead in the system, and I would go, who gets credit for this? And I'd say, oh, well, this rep entered it. Oh, wait, it was entered 6 months ago, last time they called it. And this wasn't even entered by them. This was the contact. This was a closer. So another closer would have called it. I would be able to determine whether or not they were thoroughly working this as a lead, or did they just put it in the system and walked away, never did anything with it ever. It's a little different for the bonus lead credit. You guys get a lot more leeway than a closer does. Closers only get credit for things that they're currently working on. If you're making phone calls, that you would fall into that same category, in that we need to make sure that you guys are staying within a 3-month window of contact to ensure that we're properly servicing that client. If you're not, you shouldn't get credit for it, especially if somebody else is sitting there calling them every 30 days and then somebody's not. So I hope that answered your question, Brian. The main thing is, though, again, looking for outside sources and not always looking right, the most common areas. The common areas are going to be the largest cities in America, like Nashville, Tennessee, Houston, Texas, and it's going to be at the very top of those search bars. Give you an example. If I'm inside of here and I look, you see that it's 1 of 50. Well, did you ever really get to 50 before you quit or gave up? Sometimes working from in reverse is even better. Now, I would say that this one that was entered August 1st, 2 hours ago, there's zero chance of somebody beating me to that. The likelihood is so minimal. So be the early bird. Make sure that you're the one up early, up late, before the next morning, to make sure you're catching these ones that were posted today. The most recent posts are the best ways to make sure that you're not going to enter something that somebody already had entered. But then again, when you do double check the search bar to see if it had been previously entered, you can really eliminate or keep low the potential to have a company that A, had already been entered in, or B, you can try to see if they had been contacted in the last 90 days, which you'll find most of the time they don't. I mean, most agents are, well, not just agents, in any sales organization, one of the biggest cancers is that they don't follow up. Most average salespeople only contact something twice ever. They move on. It takes 8 to 9 times for something to actually say yes. That's in any industry. So it's very important to follow up. Most people are horrible at it. So get good at the follow up, and you'll consistently be able to maintain your leads, keep them up. And it's the same thing when you're selling or you're closing. So you've got your drywall, you've got your electrical, you got your plumbing, your roofers. The only thing I would add with roofers, as far as some of your search, you got roofers, but you would also have some keywords. Commercial, you could type residential roofers. You could do metal roofers. You could also use a couple of other types. They call them applications. So you have like hot mop roofers, metal roofers. You've got shingle roofers. You got asphalt roofers, EPDM roofers. You've got torch down roofers. The primary ones, though, that you would, that are easiest to staff are shingle roofers and then metal, commercial metal roofers. And there's a lot of different types of metal roofing, but those are going to be the top 2 leads I would say you should find. And I would also say that there's a lot more money in the commercial roofing than there is in residential. Residential, the numbers get very, very tight, and the workers are real, they're not always good. metal workers or more skilled positions for commercial applications, you tend to get better luck with clientele because, again, the client has to be able to pass a background and be stable enough as an organization to take on our services. Last but not least, before I just quickly go over one of these other websites, keywords, now write these down, that you would use for searches. Use words like lodging by itself. Any ad in the skilled trade section that has this word in it and can be matched up with one of the trades we service is a great lead, because it'll say something like blah, 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 lodging provided. Is that good? Yeah, because lodging, there it says it, lodging will be provided. This is a great tool in any search platform. This is like my favorite search to do. Why? Because, man, you're looking for the client who's offering out-of-town workers an opportunity to go to work. If they're offering lodging, that's that guy. So now all you got to do is make sure he's doing drywall, hanging, framing, or finishing, or metal stud framing or wood framing, or he's looking for electricians or plumbers or apprentices or roofers or whatever it is that you think that we can supply him. As long as he's offering the lodging, he is your ideal candidate. So again, notice I didn't put any other trade. I just used the word lodging, and it gave us some options. Now, what other words could they be using? How about per diem? Wow, there's a bunch. Per diem is a big deal. If you see the word per diem, it is guaranteed they are offering money to people from out of town, because that's what that is. Per diem is a travel expense, account that's created for these guys to give them food money, gas money. Sometimes it's to pay for their own hotel. So it doesn't they might not say lodging provided. They might say $150 a day per diem, and then they're going to be asked to get their own rooms. Per diem is a great word. Some of the other big searches that I would look for: cruise. Oh, wow, look at all those. Why is that a good one? Because they know they want 5 guys or 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. They want a bunch. I didn't specify the trade. So I might have, HVAC crews in here. Look at this one. I might have framers in here. Wow, that's in my hometown. Let's see here. Looks a little too local to mess with. However, wow, that's how I found it. We were just looking in Nashville too and didn't see that ad. So cruise, per diem, lodging, hotel. What other words could you use? Travelers, right? You could go on and on. If you just think about, what you think that ad would look like if they were going to accept somebody from out of town, what kind of language they would be using. That's what you're looking for. Sometimes I'll do words like month. Why? Well, because it might say 7-month long project, 8-month long project. Look at this one right here on the top, 3 to 6 month, right? You might go weeks. Why? Might be a 8, 7 to 12 weeks. That's all we need you for. You don't know how they're going to word it. So however they may word whatever word you're looking for, like for lodging or hotel, whether you're looking for a crew or cruise or, whatever. You're going to want to play with the language, play with the words, but these single search word descriptions in some of these larger categories can be huge diamonds in the rough, where you're going to find something very fast and it's going to be a much higher qualified lead than what you would find if you just went in looking for guys that are more than likely probably wanting those local guys that you're trying to avoid. So we'll take that knowledge, that experience, that foundation that you learn here on Craigslist can be utilized on Indeed.com. You'll see it on the top left-hand corner here, INDEED.com. Great resource. I don't love it personally, but I've closed a lot of jobs from it. You can say it searches for what? Again, electricians. This one gives you a lot of good suggestions. So you can look in here, go over electricians where. It's asking for the city, the state, or the zip code. I might just look for Texas. I'm not trying to really look for cities. I don't want guys who only want local people anyway. I would type this in and hit enter and see what it gives me. I would do the same thing here that I taught you over there, except for I would bring a key attention to this left-hand side. They have a lot of filter options. It's really important, to look through these and go, okay, like this one says temporary. Is that good? Well, heck yeah, it's good. This is looking for electricians in Texas that is a temporary job. Is that my primary candidate? Yes, it's a perfect client, right? And notice here too that on this site, unlike Craigslist, it's asking me for my email address to start to send me in my inbox every morning, every day, new job postings. Is that good? Heck yeah, it's good. I would subscribe to as many of those as possible. I would recommend you using a different Gmail. I mean, ultimately, when you work hard enough at Catalyst, you'll earn a company email from us. But I wouldn't use that one for this. It gets filled up. They tend to want to send you one of these every 24 hours. And now over time, you'll be members of a lot of different websites like this. Is that good? Yes. But do you want them to bury potential client emails that are coming to you? No. So I would maybe just use a regular Gmail, just a free one that you've set up, or one that you don't mind a bunch of spammy stuff coming to, and then use that one for these types of searches. And just check your email every morning and the leads come directly to you. It's genius, especially if you're being very specific. You just don't want to be volunteering your information here to generic searches. But if it's specifically looking for something I know I specifically can sell or would be interested in, absolutely I would create that flow of opportunity. Either way, I'm scrolling down through here. Here's one of the biggest differences. Kelly Services, look at that. Is that going to be a staffing agency? 90% probably will be. I won't even look at it. That's how bad the word services is for me. When I keep going though, what I will look for is I just want to show you something here. Like, they probably do not give you the phone number on this website. Should you move on? No. Whoa, LB, you said if they don't have a phone number, don't even look at it. Okay, some websites will not give the phone number. They just don't give it. Like Craigslist will give it. It's on every other one. The other ones that's going to protect through their server. Well, how do I get a hold of these guys? Well, do I hit the apply button? Lord, no. Why? Because they're going to filter you. You don't want this job. You're not an electrician. They're not going to let their client get your information. They're just going to block you. So you don't do that. But what you do is look at the company. Now, this website is horrible at giving you phone numbers, but they're great at giving you the hiring company. And a lot of times you can even look for the project. Like it might just say gigantic contractor in Houston working on a huge brand new hospital project. Can I research that? Yes, it's public information. If I start looking for electricians being hired in certain areas, am I likely to find that company's name on another resource where maybe they ran a Craigslist ad, or maybe it was on roaddogs.com where they're looking for workers? Heck yeah, I could. They call that reverse engineering, when you can look at a lead that looks really awesome and it's giving you too many detailed pieces of the puzzle, where you could go back and start to research and Google those words, that language. It starts to bring up other ads for that company. I'll give you an example. So this is a good one because there's not going to be another company that's trying to go to Mars, which is interesting. That I just read a documentary on this company. So today, SpaceX is actively developing the technologies to make this possible, with the ultimate goal of enabling a human to for life on Mars. Well, is that going to be on everyone's website? Heck no. That's going to be language specific to SpaceX. So what I can do on an ad like this from any website, it could be Craigslist. I could copy this sentence and I could go into Google and I could paste the sentence. Why, LB? That sounds stupid. Oh, look what popped up right on the top. SpaceX.com. Is that sentence on their website? Yeah, look, it's like their slogan. So is that a great way to find a source of lead? Yeah, because here's what companies do. Staffing agencies and or companies like that, what they'll do is they will go to the website of the client and mistakenly and lazily take a sentence from their core, their DNA, and they will post it in their ad for them. like the largest electrical subcontractor or 47 years serving the Midwest, blah, 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 whatever that is. They'll take a piece of that and put it in their ad, but they won't disclose the client. They won't disclose the project. They won't disclose the phone number. But if you just copy and paste that single line, that very specific to that company criteria, and you pop it into Google, every time they've ever used that language ever will pop up. Will you find their phone number then? Heck yes, you will. Will you find out probably exactly the ad that the original staffing agency or original company found them by? Guaranteed. And it's a really, really good ninja technique that I like to use whenever I see a really good ad that I know it's not a staffing agency, but that just want to get details of this project because I know that they're looking for 100 electricians for some huge power plant that's being built, but I'm trying to find out who the source is. I need to be able to find them so I can make a lead, put it in as a bonus lead or call it myself. These are techniques that are very, very effective. So take advantage of them and do it from website to website. Don't run away just because there's no phone number on all of them. Try to see if there's any information you can extract to find the traveling, hotel providing, per diem given, large project, temporary in nature. That's what you're looking for. You can try to use that technique. Now, lastly, yellowpages.com. You don't use yellowpages.com for bonus leads. Well, why are you telling me about it then? Because I want to make some money. This is why. There are going to be times in morning meetings where we will tell you we have an abundance. We call it pooling product. And when you get into the sales, we call this product selling, where we go out there and we run ads as an organization and we end up with like 55, 100 people who apply. But we might have only needed 10. You might hear in a morning meeting that says, hey, we need to find some bonus leads for companies in, West Texas, Southern California, wherever, around San Diego. You could use Yellow Pages as a source when you're in sales to find companies that are, roofing contractors, where Biloxi, Mississippi, and it's going to bring all these up. You can search these phone numbers to try to find ads that they're currently running to create a bonus lead. Or if you are in sales, you could go right to the Yellow Pages, type this in, and like what I would do is I'd call every last one of them and tell them I got 55 guys ready to go right now. Includes everything: workers' comp, general liability, hiring, firing, qualifying, and payroll. $37 an hour. Can you take them? I mean, that's what a qualified closer will do for you. But what you can kind of learn as far as a technique moving forward. Again, use the phone number here. Google it. If they're running a Craigslist ad, if they're running an Indeed ad, if they're running an ad on Monster.com, if they're looking for somebody at that moment, you may find a good source or qualified lead for what we have pooling product needs for. So that's kind of one of the last little tidbits of information I can give you as far as entering the bonus leads, how to get started, what to be looking for, and really more importantly, what kind of opportunity that creates. Whether you're just getting started and you need to be making some money, this is the best way to do it. Even if you only had 1 hour a day and you could only enter in 10 leads, you have a chance for a closer to find that lead and you earn the first $400 of profit on that project for the first 4 weeks while you're transitioning through the university or away from your day job. More importantly, you can stack these up on top of each other. So the more you have in there, the more opportunities. It's like playing the lotto. If I put in 100 of these every 5 days, 25 of them a day, whatever, then all of a sudden I've got all those, the more opportunities. So when we do that text blast at the end of the week, and I use the bonus tag and then the tag 8/1/19 because it was the first week of the month, then it's going to give me even that second opportunity for for as corporate to send them like a text message where they can click a button and place an order, or we send them a PDF via email, which it will give them like a some kind of an incentive for doing business with us today. An automated call where this is, hey, this is Catalyst Solutions. We've got workers in the area for $37 an hour. If you're missing electricians, press 1 now, and they get connected to other agents who are recruiters who can help process those sales. So, long story short, this is what you want to do day one. Don't wait, because some of you look at the university and say, oh my gosh, I'll never get done with this information, and this guy never shuts up. You're so right. However, I do this to make sure that you guys are so well equipped that there's nothing that you run into in the field over time that you can't overcome. My goal is to get you from 400 a week to 800 a week, to $1,600 a week to $3,200 a week. You can make as much as $5,000. I cut an $8,700 check 1 week to a closer last year. It can happen, and it can happen for you. I hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions about it, you can always post those in the comments. This is going to be posted in the university. If not, you can always reach out to an onboarding specialist or an agent, or of course, be in the morning meetings, 10 a.m. Central, every day, Monday through Thursday. If you don't know what that is or where to find that link, that means that you have not been to staffingcareerfromhome.com and you have not clicked through the tabs to find the invitations where I want to join the Facebook group. That's where we post those invitations. You have not reached out to the 1-800-320-0589, 1-800-320-0589, pressed 5 and either left a voicemail or got a live agent and said, hey, I need a WhatsApp invite. That's the text group for the whole company. I need that. Why? So you can get the morning invitations. All you have to do is click on it, join these meetings, get more information, get involved. The worst thing that you can do is not get started. Just get started. That's all it takes. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for joining us.